Good day everyone. I am Baby Rose Aslayo, your host for today's reporting. Team Banisil will be presenting to you the Seaweeds culture. The members of Team Banisil are Mr. Cyrex Louis J. Gauran, Miss Christine Joy Akay, Mr. Nizam Macabiro, Mr. JJ Macabakyao, and yours truly. Before we start our reporting, let's pray first. Our prayer will be led by Mr. Macabiro.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alaihim. Ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin.
The title of our report is Be High with Yokohama, Seaweed Culture, Philippines. Table of Contents. First is history or the introduction. Second is the site selection. Third is the methods. Fourth is the planting. Fifth is harvesting. Sixth is drying. And last is the summary. Introduction. Yokohama is a type of red algae, so-called the wonder plant of 20th century because of its many important uses on almost every industry. Carrageenan is extracted from this seaweed, which is a valuable component used in products that needs gelling, thickening, suspending, emulsifying, and has water-holding properties also. Ang Yokohama ay isang red algae. Tinatawag itong guso dito sa Pilipinas. Marami itong pakinabang sa mga tao. Nagsisilbi itong pagkain sa atin at ang main use niya talaga nito ay panghalo sa pagkain. Ang carrageenan ay isang additive na ginagamit para pangpakapal, pang-emulsify at pang-preserve ng foods at drinks. Ito ay isang natural ingredient na galing sa Yokohama. Ilan sa mga pagkain na merong carrageenan ay chocolate milk, cottage cheese, cream, ice cream, coconut milk, creamers at iba pa. Yokohama only thrives in selected areas in tropical zones. Philippines was one of the top producers of seaweeds and aquatic plants in the world next to Indonesia, according to Food Agriculture Organization 2007. Mindanao Sulu area claimed to have the richest source of Yokohama. Based on the survey of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources on the known Yokohama resources of the country, the Mindanao Sulu area occupies 42% of the total farmable areas. Visayas takes a share of 28.63%, while Palawan is estimated at 13.6%. And as for the Luzon area, it has claimed 14.68% according to Reyes 1977. Ang Pilipinas talaga yung top producers ng seaweeds. Ina-export ito sa ibang bansa, kaya mas malaki yung kita dati kaysa ngayon. Marami yung nagtatanim dati kasi yun nga, mas mataas yung presyo kaya naiengganyo sila magtanim. Pero ngayon, unti-unti nang bumababa yung presyo, syempre, ayaw na rin nila magtanim kasi nalulugi na sila, sayang yung effort nila. Yokohama in dried form is basically an export product of the Philippines. Most of the country's seaweeds are transported to the United States, while some find their way to Europe and Japan according to Reyes 1977. In 1966, it was one of the most important marine export commodities of the country, with a total of 800 tons of which worth millions of pesos. However, most of which were harvested from the wild, so the export in the 5 succeeding years decreased, triggering the start of the culture industry in 1975. Yung mga na-dry na mga Yokohama ay ina-export sa mga iba't ibang bansa katulad ng United States. Taong 1966, ito ay naging isa sa mga pinaka-importanting marine export commodities sa ating bansa. Ang kitaan dati ay sobrang laki, kaya marami na yung nagtatanim. Kaya nga lang, kadalasan kasi na-harvest ito sa wild. So, ang export sa 5 succeeding years ay bumaba. There are approximately 6 species that represent Philippine Eucoma. They are Eucoma serra, Eucoma arnoldi, Eucoma procrustianum. Wala siyang picture kasi bagong red algal species lang siya galing sa Pilipinas. Eucoma cottoni, Caphaficus alvarezi is one of the larger tropical red algae in the world and also has one of the fastest growing rates, able to double in size every 15 to 30 days. The algae are quite tough, fleshy and firm, growing up to 2 meters tall. Ito yung nakikita natin sa mga market na binebenta nila na ginagawa nating pagkain. Eucoma spinosum, meron siyang dalawang uri, yung brown tsaka yung green. At ang panghuli ay Eucoma striatum. Of these 6 species, Eucoma spinosum and Eucoma striatum, locally known as tambalang, are best suited for commercial cultivation. However, the latter is preferred due to its wider range of tolerance to ecological changes and is much easier to farm. Malalaman nyo mamaya kung bakit madali lang mag-farm ng seaweeds. We prepare a short video presentation that came from YouTube na magpapakilala kung ano talaga yung seaweeds culture.
Irma F. Ortiz, Project Development Officer 3 ng Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources under the National Seaweeds Development Program. Ang seaweeds ay isa sa may malaking contribution sa aquaculture production. Isa yan sa marine sector na tinatanim mo sa karagatan. Tapos, nagse-second to third export commodity natin siya. Ang product ng seaweeds ay napakaraming market, local and foreign market. Ang 15 regions natin ay merong seaweeds. Kasi ang seaweeds sa dagat lang. Yun nga lang, iba-iba yung species na yumayabong sa kanila.
Ang seaweed o guso ay isang yamang dagat na ipinoproseso bilang carrageenan para magamit bilang fertilizer o ingredient sa mga pagkain o gamot.
Ang ating kasing nakukuha na i-extract sa seaweed, ang tawag doon carrageenan. For example, yung Caphaficus. Pag dinry mo yon, pwede mo na siyang ibenta sa mga kumpanya na nagpo-process ng seaweeds o carrageenan. Ito yung parang arena. Pag hinalo mo siya sa mga pagkain, stabilizer siya. For example, yung tubig at saka yung arena, pag pinaghalo mo yon, after ilang minutes sa baso, makikita mo bumababa na yung arena, di ba? Naghihiwalay sila. Pero pag nilagyan mo yan ng carrageenan, hindi na sila maghihiwalay forever. Hindi lang sustainable, kundi environment friendly and fisher folk friendly. Unang-una, inaabsorb niya ang mga carbon dioxide and other inorganic materials. Yun yung kanyang fertilizer. Nababalance niya yung pollution sa taas. Second, within 30 days to 45 days, pwede na siyang magkaroon ng benta. Ito lang siguro yung commodity sa agriculture na napakaigsi ng panahon para pagkakitaan. Tapos, may demand pa siya talaga. There are more than 200,000 fisher folk involved in this. Lalo na ngayon, di ba, medyo depleted na yung mga isda sa karagatan. So, ito yung magandang alternative source of income nila. At least, may seaweed silang pwedeng pagkakakitaan.
May ilang problema din na kinaharap ang industriya ng seaweed farming sa bansa.
Ang presyo actually kasi, hindi lang naman locally controlled dyan. May international factors din eh. Sa local, kaya nagkakaroon kung minsan ng fluctuation. Kasi nga, pag maraming supply, mas mura. Pag konti ang supply, mas mahal. Tapos, ang mga seaweed farmers noon, pagka mataas ang presyo, tanim sila ng tanim. Pero pag bumaba ang presyo, nadi-discourage silang magtanim. So, mawawala ng supply. Kaya ngayon, ang nangyari, no export na sila. Indonesia first sila ngayon. Kaya ang mga seaweed farmers ngayon, nag-i-enjoy sa presyo na maganda. Nasa 75 to 85 pesos per kilo. Hindi na bumababa doon. Kaya ngayon, maraming nag-i-encourage magtanim.
May proyektong inilatag ang gobyerno para mas mapalawak at matulungan ang industriya ng seaweed farming.
We are implementing the seaweed commodity roadmap na meron kaming 3 component doon. Yung number 1, production. Patuloy pa rin ang pagpuproduce ng magandang quality. Nagpo-promote din tayo ngayon na paramihin ang gracilaria. Kasi we have 897 species of seaweed. Kaya ang gobyerno ngayon looking into it to promote other seaweed species. And then now, we are organizing the seaweed farmers into cooperatives para once they are organized, registered, trained, they can do business with tax exemption. consumption. We have everything in seaweeds, from gamot to food application to source of vitamins. So amazing talaga tong product na ito. It only needs, recognition and more production, more encouragement to the seaweed farmers to go on. And we are doing that, and more promotion of seaweed product applications.
Site selection. Definitely the most strenuous task to encounter within the industry. Searching for suitable areas will be crucial as the nature of the algae is very delicate. The following parameters are guides to proper select and prospect areas for farming. However, there is no way of determining the appropriateness of the area unless actual farming is done. The level of productivity of the selected area or locality cannot be accurately ascertained until a history of growth rate has been established. Once the site is pinpointed, the task of production will be relatively easier. First is, choose a location where there is a good water movement or where there is a rapid water turnover, but obviously not heavy enough to damage the farm. Water current speed should be between 20 to 40 meters per minute. Next is, the area should be sheltered from very strong wave action, current, and winds. Next is, avoid areas that are near the mouth of rivers or where there is a heavy freshwater runoff. Eucoma is a purely marine alga. Salinity of the farm area should be from 27 to 35 ppt. Next, the area should have a water temperature range between 25 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. Water depth in the farm should not be less than 2 feet during the lowest tide and more than 7 feet during high tide. The ground should be able enough to permit easy installation of stakes or bamboos. Next is, farm bottom composition should be sandy and rocky depending upon the variety of Eucoma. Next is, if possible, choose areas where Eucoma is endemic. However, the absence of such is not necessarily a negative sign. Take note of the other marine plants and animals that are associated with Eucoma, for they are good indicators of possible site for Eucoma farming. Next is, consider also the availability of labor, materials, accessibility to transportation and communication as well.
Farming methods. The success of Eucoma farming depends upon the type of method and its demonstration. The following methods of farming are proven to be economical, easy to construct, and are easy to manage and maintain. Net method. It is the first commercially adapted technique in Eucoma culture. The planting unit is a rectangular net measuring 2.5 times 5 m with a diagonal meshwork having a 25 cm bar length. The net is made up of monofilament nylon or stranded polypropylene line 110-150 lbc test for the margin and 30-100 lbs test for the meshwork. The nets are installed horizontally. Their concern provided with loops are tied to stake or wire stretched between the stakes. Before hand out. Each net unit has 127 mesh intersection. Eucoma seedlings are tied at these places using soft plastic straw or tie-tie.
This is the example of net method.
The net farming method has the advantage of intensive production because more plants can be grown in a given area. It is of three types, namely the floating bamboo method, the mangrove stakes and net methods, and tubular net method. Bottom monoline method. It is a cheaper to establish, easy to maintain, and not so prone to surface weather condition as compared to the net method. This method consists of modules with our units of planting and a hectare. A module has 28 monoline, single line, each measuring 30 feet, 9.8 meter in length. About 36 plants can be tied to a monoline. A hectare of 36 modules consequently contain 35,000 plants with about 1,000 plants per module or genome manual.
This is the example of bottom monoline method. Preparation of the farm site and other culture activities. When a site suitable for Yukoma farming has been selected, secure a permit from the nearest Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Office, which has a direct jurisdiction over the area for legal acquisition. The following are the steps to follow. First is, cut all grasses and remove all obstacles from the area. Second is, remove the rocks, stones, starfishes, sea urchins, and other predators. Third is, construct a farmhouse with a drying platform on the selected site. Next is, prepare rattan or buri baskets or seed bin for holding seed stocks. Last is, prepare also other culture materials such as a nylon, monolines, nylon nets, mangrove stakes, boats, dugout or bangka, digging bars, plastic twines, gas lamps, knives, hammer or mallet, and etc. Management of Yukoma Farm, seed selection and preparation. Sapagkat sa itaas ng seed, dapat hindi nakaslant, dapat naka-flat yung position niya. Tying of seedlings. Dapat sa pagtay ng seedlings, yung pagtali niya ay not too loose. Hindi rin yung sobrang higpit. Dapat enough lang yung allowance, yung tama-tama lang. Dapat rin sa pagtali, yung balance siya, yung sa gitna mo talaga siya itatali. Sa isang tali, dapat isang seedling lang, bawal yung dalawa.
So good day everyone. So today I'm going to explain how to plant a seaweeds. Before planting, clean the seedlings thoroughly by removing dirt, epiphytes and other clinging materials, and rinse it with seawater. Plant the prepared seedlings promptly. In the net method seedlings, 80 to 100 grams are tied to each intersection of the net. Original net can hold about 150 plants. In bottom monoline method, the seedlings 50 to 150 grams are planted by tying to the monoline with an allowance of 1 inch of the tied portion of the nylon line. Plant seedlings at an interval of 8 inches between them.
This is the example of the net method planting and the bottom monoline method planting.
Continuously monitor the growing points of the seedling as it is an indicator of good growth. Here's the formula for the growth rate. Total weight of plant after test planting minus original weight of the plant before test planting over the number of cultured days equals daily percent growth rate.
Harvesting. Yukioma are harvestable when they reach the weight between 750 to 850 gram. Harvesting can also be made a part of the maintenance procedure by pruning the harvestable plants and allowing them to regenerate. So Yukioma are harvestable when they reach the weight of 750 to 850 gram. Harvesting can also be made a part for maintenance by pruning the harvestable plants and allowing them to regenerate. So for pre-harvest activities, prepare all the necessary harvesting materials such as baskets, sacks, knife, and goggles. After all that, prepare the drying area. So we must prepare the necessary harvesting materials such as baskets, knife, sacks, and goggles. For harvesting procedures, go row by row through the farm. Harvest each plant by pruning. Remove branches from each plant using a sharp stainless knife. So we must remove all the branches for clearing. Leave about 200 gram on each plant for regeneration. So we must not to remove all the plant. We must leave about 200 gram for regeneration. In total harvesting, just cut the allowance portion of the tie in between the plant and the nylon line. So just cut the allowance portion in the nylon line. Using scoop nets, scoop harvested plants. Collect all harvested plants in the bangka. So we must travel the harvested plants to the drying area. Paddle the bangka to the drying area when it's already full. Then unload. Weigh and keep a record of the harvest plants before spreading them to dry.
Recommended practices in drying. Number 1. Spread the harvested seaweed thinly over the prepared drying site of platform. Number 2. Use coconut palm as flooring when drying inland. Never dry the seaweed directly on and or soil to avoid contamination. 3. In a drying platform, the approximate amount of wet seaweed should be about 2 pounds per square feet. 4. Turn the seaweeds at regular intervals under the sun for 3 days and at the same time removing foreign materials. During summer months, seaweeds can be dried for only 1.5 days. 5. Always cover the harvest to protect from the rain. 6. Separate dried harvest according to the day it was harvested. 7. Seaweeds are considered dry when there are no moist and particles of sand on the surface. They are crispy and have a rubbery touch. 8. Remove salt particles from the dried seaweeds by screening them with mesh screens. 9. Pack clean dried seaweeds free of salt particles in large sacks and lace them up. And 10. Sell the seaweeds and keep a record of all its weight.
We prepare another short video na mag-i-explain ng planting, harvesting, site selection, tsaka drying ng Yokoma.
Jake Mactal ang kasalukuyang namamahala ng isang seaweed farm sa Masinloc, Zambales.
We only have 2 varieties, Capapicus alvarezi and then si Halimenia. Closest to the shore, yung Halimenia yung tanim namin. Dun sa mas deeper and then mas malayo na areas, Capapicus. Kasi we noticed na si Halimenia kasi mas madali siyang i-farm. Yung body kasi ng seaweeds hindi siya brittle eh. So if ever maputol man siya sa line, dahil parang buhok kasi siya, kumakapit siya doon sa lubids. Site selection, the minimum depth po ng tubig should not be below 1 meter. Kami kasi it's deeper waters and then it's a cove ho kasi. So hindi siya yung open water. There is still water movement. Yung temperature sana ng tubig should not exceed 30 degrees talaga. So medyo slightly floating but medyo nakasubmerged ng konti yung mga lines. Kasi too much heat or nagkaroon ng change sa temperatures na sa stress yung seaweeds. Salinity din, hindi bababa sa 27 or 30. So maalat talaga yung tubig. And then hindi siya nadadaluyan ng fresh water. Minimal yung fresh water unless nag-uulan talaga.
Ipinaliwanag din ni Jake Mactal ang kanilang pamamaraan sa pagtatanim ng mga seaweeds.
Yung method ng pag-farm namin is yung long line method, but we use 50 meters to avoid pagtangle ng mga lines. Spacing in between mga 1.5 meters to 2 meters para magkasya yung lapad ng bangka in between the lines. And then dito sa process na to ngayon, we're just replanting. So 30 days lang yung maturity ng seaweeds. Within 30 days sana ma-harvest siya para pwede namin pilian ng seedlings or propagules and then itatali ulit siya. We use soft ties na straw and then may mga floaters na recycled ng plastic bottles. After siyang itali, tatanim ulit siya within a day. On average, average, 100 kilos would be sufficient. But pagka ito, tinimbang, nasa around 15 to 20 kilos yung amount ng seaweeds sa isang line. In 30 days, mga 1 kilo na yung per bunch na yan. Pag kailangan na namin siya for mature seaweeds, mga 45 to 60 days, maabot ng mga 3, 4, minsan 5 kilos yung isang bunch. But since nakita niyo na brittle kasi siya, nababali pag mabigat. So may mga losses talaga dyan na dahil sa bigat niya, there's always a chance na babagsak or may mapuputol kasi gumagalaw yung tubig. Sa drying, we have set up drying beds. And then after a day or two kasi, nagre-reduce na yung size niyan eh. At the very least, yung conversion niya kasi 10 kilos nung fresh na seaweeds is 1 kilo ng dried.
Maintenance of the farm. Assurance for good farm production largely depends upon farm management, procedures and practices coupled with the farmer's own initiative and creativity. Some ways to maintain a Yokohama farm. First is remove sea urchins, starfishes, rocks, dead corals, and other obstacles found inside the farm every day. Second, a boat or without engine would be required depending upon the distance of the residents to the farm site. Third is replace missing plants. Fourth, never allow the plant to grow more than 5 kilograms for it will be destroyed by the water current. Fifth, harvest completely all unhealthy and loose plants. Sixth, tighten any loose nets and repair any broken lines and destroyed stakes. 7. Always keep the record of the farm such as weekly test plant record, daily harvest record or of the wet and dry, record of receipts and expenses and etc. Number 8. When the farm is a hectare or more, it is advisable to install nets in the lower position of the farm to collect seaweeds washed out by the tidal current. The mesh size of net to be used should not be more than 4 inches, made of number 100 nylon line. Ito yung example sa sinasabi sa number 8.
Eucoma is a red seaweed that is endemic in Philippine waters. When dried, a substance called carrageenan may be extracted from the seaweed. Carrageenan has a wide variety of uses for products such as in food preparations, pharmaceutical industries, and pet foods that need gelling, suspending, binding, thickening, emulsifying, and water-holding properties. Eucoma favors moderate water current. It is therefore best cultured in protected coves, bays, or coral flats. The seawater should also have a salinity range of 27 to 35 ppt and a temperature of about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. The best time for planting is just after the rainy season. Among current methods of farming Eucoma, the bottom monoline method is the best due to lower material and labor costs, and it is easy to maintain. For the bottom monoline method, depth is quite important. Eucoma may be harvested when they reach 750 to 800 grams, although this may also be done as part of maintenance process through pruning.
As the success of Eucuma culture depends upon the type of farming methods and its demonstration, which method do you think is the best and why? Thank you for watching.